Hello everyone and welcome to the Eldar Sim Racing Porsche RSR 911 League. We are round 7. I put it down as 5 I believe, but it is actually round 7. Let me just check that everything is working fine and hunky-dory, and you can all hear me, otherwise I'm just talking to thin air. Yep. It is all working beautifully. So, like I say, we are here live from the Autodrome Jose Carlos Pace, better known as the Autodrome de Interlagos, or Interlagos for short, as most F1 fans around the world and around the country and everywhere else will know. It is Interlagos. We are obviously round 7, so my mistake on the title, but yes, round 7 for tonight. William, thank you for letting me know as well. You can hear me loud and clear. Yes, round 7 for the series, and we are looking forward to hopefully another very close race. We were a little bit low on action last week, unfortunately a very depleted grid, but hopefully a few more this week, and all looking good. We have our... do we have everyone? I'm just having a look. I think... yes, he is here as well. We do have our championship top 3, although the top 2 obviously broke away a little bit last week with Gareth Morris unable to attend, unfortunately. But Dennington is still our championship leader. He has extended the lead now to 11 points. He currently sits top of the standings on 122. Mark Littlejohn in second place on 111 points. Morris obviously hasn't moved on the points wise, and actually kept his position in third place on 87. Rasmus Omren did close the gap up, obviously, with his wonderful drive last week. He's up onto 74 points now, with Darren Baldwin now having recovered from the second jabbing of the COVID vaccine, back racing tonight as well. He is on 56 points. Andy White unfortunately missing tonight, where he took a big chunk out of the lead Darren had. He's on 51 points, but unfortunately missing tonight, stuck at work, currently at least an hour or half an hour to an hour away, he reckons. Stu Shelton is currently sat behind Andy on 45 points. Obviously early part of the season he was actually covered by Brian Moncani, who we can see here, due to shoulder surgery. Evening, Lee, nice to see you, and a quick, I don't know if Kim's actually seen it, but a quick hello to Kim as well from you. Kim's plugged in with the pods in, listening away in pods, same thing. I think she's busy on the phone, so possibly sharing the link away to all corners of the globe for everyone to come in and hopefully watch tonight. Back to the table, and we've got Adam Dyke on 41 points, just behind Shelton there. Thomas, who is in the house tonight as well, after missing last week, on 37. Adam Morgan on 28. We've got Brucey Collins, unfortunately missing, not feeling very well himself tonight, and he's on 23. Lee Fitzy 22, Nuno George 22, Moncani here in a slight change of livery, I've noticed as well, not the usual blue and green, it's blue and yellow tonight. He's on 14, Lane on 13, and Andrew Osler on 9. I have also been informed, and I can see one already, we have a couple of new guys in tonight. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to grab names. Evening, Darren, hello. But yes, I haven't had time to grab names, unfortunately, because they are last-minute replacements. But we have KBE 36, so I'll probably be referring to him, unless I find out names beforehand, probably be referring to him as KB or KBE. and I'm just trying to spot our other joinee, unless he's popped out of lobby at the moment. No one else that I'm seeing new-ish there, so just KBE. I was informed of a couple of others, but it doesn't look like they've made it as yet, unfortunately. I know Dean Atkinson was possibly going to be one of them, but doesn't look like he's going to make it tonight either at the moment. A little quick rundown of the rules. Obviously we will have a qualifying session with the fastest driver starting on pole position, as you would expect. After that we have a wonderful hour-long race, and the drivers have only got the option of the medium or hard tyres for the race. They must use the hard tyre for a minimum of 5 laps during the race as well. It's up to them when, and after the 5 laps they can go for as long as they like. As long as they've done 5 laps on the hard tyres, then there's no penalties to be handed out to anyone. Kim in the chat wishing everyone the very best of luck. Good luck to everyone taking part tonight. And we also have Malcolm Argyle, one of our other ESR commentators in the house as well. And welcome to both of you. Hopefully we'll have a wonderful race to bring you. I don't think we're going to top Yanguina, where anyone's guess as to who was going to win was going to happen, but hey, you never know. Interlagos, full of wonders. Unfortunately, the game Gran Turismo not adding dynamic weather in just at this time, but hey, we all know what Interlagos can bring. A bit like Spa, its own weather area, and sunny 1 second, next minute it's chucking it down with rain. Yes, we'll refer to the track as Interlagos tonight as well. Autodrome Jose Carlos Pace, a little bit of a mouthful to keep referring to. So Interlagos it is tonight. Made famous as well through Formula 1, and hopefully I'm glad to see it staying on the F1 calendar this season and not moving out to wherever they wanted to build their new track. Interlagos for me has got a lovely, welcoming home. The fans at the track are always so passionate. Obviously we saw it through the years with Senna and Massa and Rubens Barrichello, things like that, but for the time being we'll move on from that, and we'll go on to it looks like qualifying about to start. I will do my best at corner names tonight. Obviously Brazilian, Portuguese, Spanish, whatever kind of language they've used to name some of the corners, it just probably won't happen. But I'll do my best and we'll have a go. There's a few that people will obviously know. The first section of corners, the Senna S's, the famous corners. I'm going to try and jump on with Dennington, who he's just merged into Darren Baldwin on exit here, but we'll ride. Let's see if we can jump actually on board with Dennington for the first part and see how we go. So I'll have a go at corner names as we go round as well at this circuit. I apologise if I pronounce them wrong, but we come up to, I believe, Ferradura, and I'm not going to try and pronounce this one, no chance on that one. Then we've got the S's, and then the Pirarino corner, one of that often gets referred to by Martin Brundle, possibly one that he can say quite easily. Then we've got the Bricco di Pato, as he comes around here, a very easy place to lose the rear end of the car. And then we've got Mogrino, and then the most famous corner on the circuit, the easiest name of a corner as well, Juncao. Fantastic name. No idea why it's called Juncao, but that's the reason. It is called Juncao for some unknown reason. So they will know, but sure enough, someone named it, and I love the name. I don't know why I love the name.
If you don't know the corner name, always say that
Term number is very handy, and as people refer to it, they always refer to the corners by numbers, the drivers. They never refer to them by name, although I do believe Silverstone is possibly one exception. But anyway, we digress, and we are 2 minutes into qualifying already. Some of the drivers now out on their timed laps. Dennington is going to be the first one to put a timed lap on as he comes down the... I'm going to call it the back straight. It's the lowest point of the track, and probably the straightest, because let's face it, the start-finish straight is not straight. It's actually bent. But we'll come back to that as well as time goes on. But Dennington is going to be the first person to put a time on the board, and it's looking very, very fast already. You can see he's pulled out a slight gap already. Commentators curse there, he runs wide and goes onto the grass. He had put a gap on Darren Baldwin, but at the moment I would say it's going to be Darren Baldwin who's going to post the fastest time. Dennington letting Baldwin go already. Maybe going to try and use a bit of a slipstream up the hill to start the lap this time round. Through Junkow now, and it is full throttle all the way up to the start-finish line, despite the 3 corners here. That's corner 1. There can be a chicane there on certain layouts of the track. Running a little bit wide there from Baldwin, but using every inch of the track, keeping it close to the pit wall, less bumpy down that section, and sure enough he puts it onto pole position for the time being. But that is very short-lived as Little John comes in and takes the pole position away, and then we've got KBE now takes it even further away, with Omran in 3rd place, Baldwin in 4th, Moncani 5th, Wheatley in 6th, Morris only down in 7th at the moment. He will not be happy with that and be looking to improve on his next lap. Fitzy there taking a little bit too much curb on the exit of Senna S's, and sure enough is awarded very, very quickly with the half-second penalty, and that will scupper the second lap of his. We've got Morris and Thomas, by the looks of it, very, very close. Be interested to see if they're working together. Obviously we've got Lane in 10th place currently, Dennington after his mistake early on in 11th, and Dyke in 12th at the moment. Obviously with the hour-long race, things can change very, very quickly. But we'll be looking at Dennington now, who's got the slipstream coming out of Junkow now. Up the hill again, he's got the slipstream here of Baldwin to use all the way up the hill, every last inch. Maybe a little bit of bump drafting if he gets too close. Maybe no, decides to dive towards the inside. Baldwin keeping well out the way, keeping it as tight as he can to the pit entrance, but not taking too much. Tight to that line, straight drive to the finish line, and he's actually going to get an extra lap in just in time. But he has put it up into 2nd place, 0.3 of a second behind KBE as the others come across the line. Little John improving there into 3rd place, but improving the time but not improving the position. Morris also improving his time but not much on the position, in 8th place, and he has finished his qualifying as the time has now elapsed. We see KBE just behind Moncani, and KBE is going to have another lap as well. Omran in 4th place, also on another lap. Massive yawning because even though I've been on holiday, I've still been waking up at silly hours in the morning. So we've got Baldwin in 5th at the moment. He's on another lap with the help of slipstream from Dennington as they head down towards the latter section of the circuit. Adam Dyke getting in a better qualifying time and jumping ahead of Morris now up into 8th place. Wheatley in the pits currently in 7th. Don't think many can improve from behind him, but we'll see if there's any major changes as we have Dennington now coming up the hill towards the line, finishing qualifying off. You can see in the background that Little John is certainly closer to these two. Whether or not they've slowed each other up a little bit, who knows, but Dennington comes across the line now, no improvement. Same with Baldwin, same with Little John and Omran. Next up will be KBE. will come across the line now. No improvement. Moncani, no improvement either. That is the end of qualifying, I believe. Is there anyone else to come across the line? I don't think so. No, it'll be a chance now of running the timeout with Wheatley in pit lane. So with just over a minute left of the time, we'll have a quick catch up on the chat. Don't forget corner names, turn numbers. Don't forget the drink. I will not. I have a drink here somewhere. No, I do not.
No.
Oddly, I do not have a drink. I will grab that in a second, just before the start.
Do you want me to grab you one?
Evening, Rusty or Chris. Nice to see you. Another fantastic job from you last night in the BTCC, and who knows, we might see you and grab you into a few more. Yes, please.
What do you want?
Me tango.
Coffee then.
Oh yes, actually, please. Coffee would be lovely. Yes, Chris, be nice to see you. Hopefully, in a few more of the other series run by you by the ESR guys shortly. Never know, we might get you into the Porsche leagues. Although I believe it's changing next.
Have a bit.
Yeah, I believe it's changing next season. To be announced yet, but information will surely come along very, very soon. That is the end of qualifying, and it is KBE with a time of 1 minute 31.3 for pole position. What a fantastic time from him to take pole position, and a great first showing. So who knows, this could be a 4-car battle for the lead. We're so used to having 3-car battles earlier on in the season, so this could be coming up to a 4-car battle. We'll try and get a decent camera angle. This ain't too bad. We can see the lights. They're on now. The revs rise. The lights go out. Now, and we're away. Who gets the best start? A lot of wheel spin there from Dennington, but it looks like he's got a decent start, and he's up alongside KBE already and going for the lead early doors. He's up into the lead of the race straight away, down through the centre S's. Omron running wide there. Little John up into 3rd place. Omron still in 4th. 5th is currently Darren Baldwin. Moncani in 6th. I believe everyone has got away nice and cleanly, which is great to see. And it's Dennington who will lead us down towards the Descender du Lago, I believe, as Little John has a little look and a touch of the rear bumper of KBE. Omron there in 4th place. Baldwin under major pressure from Moncani, with Chris Wheatley in 7th place. Right behind, 8th place is Lane, who's under immense pressure from Adam Dyke in 9th place. Thomas in 10th. Morris dropping down to 11th place in the early stages, very unlike him. And Lee Fitzy in 12th place as well, back to the front, and it's still Dennington with a 0.6 of a second lead from KBE, who's just started to put a little bit of a gap now from Mark Littlejohn in 3rd place. He's got 0.6 of a second over Omron, who's coming under more and more pressure now from Darren Baldwin there for the battle for 4th and 5th place. Moncani seems to have got a bit of a gap now out to Lane in 7th. Who's still got Wheatley for close company in 8th place in his pure blue. I think that's Wheatley, I think, could be one of the other standing guys last minute. He's not actually within the championship standing, so yes, I would say Wheatley is a stand-in last minute, and that would be a hastily painted 911 to join in tonight. Behind Wheatley we have Adam Dyke and Craig Thomas battling, and with Wheatley's issues, it's pulled him into the battle, so it's 8th, 9th and 10th all together coming down the back straight, 3 abreast, and we're not sure who, from this angle, we're not sure who's going to take the advantage. Wheatley's going to come out in 8th place, Dyke just about in 9th. Morris now taking 2 for 1 offer and trying to go up the inside of both Dyke and Thomas, thinking better of it as they come down towards Ferradura. And settling back into 11th place for the time being, back up the front, and we have missed it, unfortunately. Let's see if we can grab it on replay. No, we have just about missed it, unfortunately. It looks like KBE has taken the lead at at the bottom end of the straight, and KBE up into the lead of the race now, ahead of Lee Dennington, who's under more and more pressure from Mark Littlejohn in third place. Behind those two is the battle between Omran and Baldwin, and they cannot drop Moncani. Whether or not the battle between those two is just holding Moncani with them that little bit, slowing them down that little bit. We've seen it so many times before, haven't we, that the two drivers battle and the car behind very, very quickly catches up. Behind those two is Wheatley, who is who's actually having a go now at Lane, has got himself up in front as they break into the centre S's now, and yes, he has got 7th place there, and behind those two, still battling away, is Dyke, Thomas and Morris. Morris is actually up into 10th place now and starting to work his way up through the field. Let's pop back to the battle out the front, and it's the three guys all together, KBE, Dennington and Littlejohn, all covered by a bedsheet. Let's not joke about it. It is a bedsheet between the three of them. KBE just getting a 0.3 of a second lead over Dennington, who's got a 0.2 of a second lead over Littlejohn, and it is still anyone's guess at the moment as to who could lead the end of this lap, let alone win this race. But we've still got 56, or just under 56 minutes. Just behind this battle is another intense battle between Omran and Baldwin and Moncani. Again, 3 cars almost as one as they come through the Brocca de Pato and down towards Juncao now. Omran just pulling out that little bit of a gap now over Baldwin as they come through Juncao, up the hill again to put another lap into the books. We'll carry on down the field, and Wheatley now is starting to get a bit of a gap over Lane, who's got himself a 0.4 of a second penalty at the moment. That could bring him into this little 4-car battle for 9th place, consisting of Dyke, Morris, Thomas and Fitz. Alright, it's a battle for the rear of the field as Morris goes out wide, looking to get the better line down into the centre S's, breaking that a little bit later and up into 9th place. Sure enough, Lane is now joining this battle, so it's a 5-car battle now for 8th place, and we'll be have to switch between everything going on. KBE now getting a half-second lead over Dennington, and Littlejohn right up the exhaust pipe of Dennington as well. Let's just take a moment and have a flick through the field and see if anyone's chanced it on the hard tyres early on. We've got KBE on the mediums, Dennington on the mediums, Littlejohn on mediums as well. Omran and Baldwin as one together. Omran on the mediums, Baldwin on the mediums, Moncani on medium, Wheatley medium, Lane, Morris, Thomas, who we've got, Thomas, Fitzy and Dyke is the only person who's gone on the hard. If we remember last week, Dyke was the person who was chancing his arm and done fantastically well, I will add, that he spent the entire race on the intermediate tyres. Everyone else went full wets. He gambled, he went on the intermediates and didn't do too bad out of it. From memory, I think he finished about 6th, but that could be wrong. Who knows? That was last week, this is this week. Dennington and Littlejohn battling away for 2nd place now. Unknown territory for those for most of the season. And behind those two, we've got Baldwin now up into 4th place, sliding it up the inside of Omran down into the centre S's and taking 4th place. He's worked hard, he's battled his way up towards the rear bumper of Omran, and now got himself up into 4th place. Back to the battle for 2nd place, and it's Dennington and Littlejohn as one car together. The white at the side of Dennington's car bleeding almost into Littlejohn's car, and the Jack Daniels white and black livery. The two of them side by side now as they go up to Ferradura, and Littlejohn just thinking slightly better of it, dropping back into 3rd place, and he's going to just take those few moments just to calm himself down. Look where Dennington's going to make those mistakes. You can see Dennington's already missed 2 apexes there, and Littlejohn's now is just taking all this in. He's working. He's building that plan in his head as they follow each other. Just in the background, we can see that Omran's got back onto the rear bumper of Baldwin as well. Down to Juncao now for Dennington and Littlejohn, and it's almost as one still back behind those two. And Baldwin has pulled out that little bit more of a gap again in the early parts of Sector 3 to Ombrun. In 6th place is still Moncani. 7th is Wheatley. 8th place now is Gareth Morris in his Reese's orange livery. 9th is Craig Thomas, who's still got Lee Fitzy up close behind him. In 11th place is Lane with a 2-second penalty. A little bit too much corner and curb being taken possibly from Lane, and that's allowed Dyke up into 11th place, Lane down into 12th place, and hopefully continuing on hard and pushing hard, he'll get himself back up onto the rear bumper of those in front of him in no time, I am sure of it. So we go down to 51 minutes and 40 seconds left, and it's a 2.2 second lead by KBE, and you just got to start to wonder whether or not he's just eating that fuel away that little bit quicker than the likes of Dennington. See if we can actually get that telemetry up. KBE there, about, what are we, 5/8 of a tank, and sure enough Dennington with that little bit more, just under the 6/8 of a tank mark. So definitely the strategy coming into play. KBE quicker because he's using more fuel. So he stretches it out to a 2.5 second lead, with Dennington and Littlejohn both battling away hard behind him for 2nd place. Just 0.2 of a second between the two of them. Littlejohn's going to have the slipstream here up through the little curves up towards the start finish line. We go on board onto the bonnet of Dennington, Littlejohn. He comes towards the inside over the start finish line up towards the braking zone now, about 75 to 50 yards to the braking zone. Dennington a little bit later on the brakes, just holding that outside line, keeping the position for the time being, but this will give Littlejohn a better line out of the centre axis. The Curva de Sol being the last section. Down the back straight now, he pulls to the inside, and it will be again about the 100. Dennington braking later, or was that Littlejohn lifting off earlier and thinking better of the move, deciding sitting behind Dennington, saving that little bit extra fuel as well. It's all a big strategy game, and it's like a massive game of chess, this, with 50 minutes to go. We've only had 10 minutes. We've got 6.5 laps in the book already, and people are already looking at saving fuel everywhere. The battle for 5th is hotting up as Moncani gets himself up into 5th place. Is that Wheatley now going for 6th place over Ombrun. We've seen it before as well in other races. Ombrun likes to save his fuel, try and go a one-stopper if he can. So he's now fallen back into the clutches of Moncani, who's got ahead of him, and now Wheatley in 7th place. And sure enough, there is the little stalker himself, Gareth Morris there. Worked his way up, took his time from 11th, worked it slowly, got himself up into 8th place, and just starting to pick up the slipstream now up the hill towards the start-finish straight, towards the start-finish line, and Morris doing a fantastic job, working his way up into 8th. We saw it at Yanguina. He was nowhere to be seen, and then suddenly he was up fighting for the lead and possible victory. Moncani making a huge mistake, running very, very deep, and let's just see what happens. He's got a run on Moncani down towards the centre S's. He takes a move towards the inside, very, very deep on the brakes, and then just touches the grass, and that unsettles the car in the braking zone for the 2nd section of the S's, and that allows Wheatley through into 6th place, dropping Ombrun down to 7th, and it's now 8th place for Ombrun as Morris has got himself up into 7th. Ombrun won't take it lightly, a nudge and a push, a slight wave to Morris as he forces his way through there at Ferradura, back up into 7th place. Morris will, and the red mist won't come down. He won't be pleased. He won't be pleased with the move, but he'll just sit there. Okay, fine. I'll sit there. I'll take the slipstream up the hill again. I'll make the move up into 1st place, into the centre S's, and take 7th place away again. And I'll try and pull myself away again that little bit further. Back to the front of the field, and it's now a 4.2 second lead for KBE, and the fuel usage is going to make a massive difference here. We've got Littlejohn and Dennington have actually swapped positions now. It's now Littlejohn in front, Dennington in or not in front, Littlejohn in 2nd place, Dennington in 3rd place, now deciding Little John deciding now's the time to push forward, he's saved that little bit of extra fuel. Now can he use that bit of fuel, bring the gap down that little bit maybe to KBE? It's up to 4.5 seconds now, so KBE, obviously, if he's going to have to make that extra pit stop, he's going to have to extend this to about 20. I'm going to go 26, 27 seconds. This pit lane is very, very long. Excuse me, very, very long, and it can cost you an awful lot of time. It is still eking out 0.2 of a second. It's already eked out in one sector. But now Little John just starting to put a bit of a gap on Dennington there, who was very, very ragged over the curb, taking as much grass as he possibly could get away with, and he did get away with it. For third place, fourth place, and just closing in that little bit on these two as well is Darren Baldwin in fourth place. Now that he's got himself gapped nicely 6.5 seconds to Brian Moncani in fifth place. Wheatley in sixth place, with Morris in the Reese's livery back ahead of Omron, and like I said, he would try and gap him, and sure enough, he has got that bit of a gap now over Omron in eighth place, who's now being hunted down by the cat himself, Craig Thomas, in the black cat liveried Porsche this time round. 10th place is Lee Fitz. Adam Dyke in 11th, who's just had a slight off at Junkow by the looks of it. Easily done. Just catch that outside curb on the brakes, it unsettles the rear end, and it will spit you off onto the runoff area at Junkow. Unfortunate, and it looks like we have also lost lane from the rear of the field, unfortunately. Back to Little John and Dennington fighting away for second place, and they are being caught ever so slightly by Darren Baldwin in fourth. He's now got that gap down to 1.7 seconds, and sure enough, he will be joining this battle as we see Dennington now going up into second place as they approached Ferradura, and Dennington now back up into second place. There wasn't a lot, from what I could see, there wasn't a lot of defending there from Little John. Maybe these two are working together and deciding that, okay, let's let KBE go, let's let him go, let him spend all that fuel for now, and we'll catch him later on in the race. You can see here the two of them, Dennington just under half a tank, Little John a little bit better as well, just under half a tank, but then KBE down to almost 3/8 of a tank already, so an eighth of a tank already within 15 minutes. The two of them have said that it might not be a whole pit stop, but it could be a splash and dash at the end of the race, something like that. But time will tell. Even if it's not a pit stop or a splash and dash, it's just that little bit less time in refueling in a pit stop that you can save, and you can easily save 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. We see our first pitter in Omron already into the pits, deciding that the medium tyres have had enough, and coming in 33 on the fuel. So I wouldn't have said he's about the same sort of area as KBE up front, so I thought he'd been saving fuel quite well, but maybe I'm wrong there, and things have changed for Omron that little bit this time round, and maybe coming on, getting those hard tyres on nice and early in a bit of clean air, and pushing towards the front of the pack for a later date, maybe. Who knows? But back at the front, and it's still KBE with a 6.7 second nearly lead now, and he's doing a fantastic job, I must say. That doesn't seem to have put a wheel wrong so far. Behind still Dennington and Little John fighting away nicely, and 0.2 closer yet again is Darren Baldwin. He is catching the two of them ever so slightly. It might not be drastically quick, but he is certainly catching the two of them. I'm going to go back to the battle for second place because they are close, but again, are they strategically working together, the two of them at the front, to work themselves into a better position? It almost looks like bump drafting down the start and finish straight by the two of them, but who knows? Time will tell. Time will tell as things carry on. It's now Wheatley up into fifth place now, ahead of Morris, who's got himself, or they've both got themselves ahead of Moncani. Maybe a small mistake somewhere along the last couple of laps that we've missed, unfortunately, but who knows? Time will tell. I am sure of it. we have D4TC Sim Racing. Good evening to yourself. Marty O'Donnell, I believe, if memory serves me right. I could be wrong, but I know we've raced. I hope I've got the name right. For the love of God, I hope I've got the name right now. We go back to the battle for second, third, and I'm going to include fourth place now because Baldwin is catching these two most definitely, and it's nearly down to a second's gap between the two of them. And I was right. D4TC is Marty O'Donnell, and welcome to the stream, mate. And I hope you enjoy it because this is going to get close, I'm going to say, with still 41.5 minutes to go. Yes, KBE does have that 7.5 second lead, and he is pulling away massively from championship leader Dennington, second place in the championship Littlejohn, and series host and organiser Darren Baldwin in fourth. But in doing so, he is burning more and more fuel. Fifth place, we have Chris Whitley in the hurriedly put together 911 for tonight's race, and lovely blue and black look for him tonight. The Reese's Orange Mobile is Gareth Morris, who has worked himself up brilliantly from 11th place. Kim squeaking in the background. Morris has worked his way up into 6th place from 11th. After a bit of a poor qualifying by his standards, but he'll be happy up into 5th place now. Not really fought hard there by Wheatley. Maybe Wheatley deciding, okay, Gareth, you are quicker, I'll let you go, and you can go and chase down the lead pack. 8 points. Well, it was 8.1, it's already coming down 8 seconds now to Baldwin in front of him. Moncani in 7th place in the new colours of Moncani Motorsport, by the looks of it, in the blue, pink and yellow. 8th place is Craig Thomas, the cat as I'm going to call him tonight. 9th place is Adam Dykes, and in 10th place is Rasmus Omron, who fitted a new set of mediums, so just wasn't happy with the balance of the mediums in the early section of the race. Let's keep that up, and we can see that KBE now has about an eighth of a tank of fuel left compared to the 2/10 of a tank of Littlejohn, as Dennington has hit pit lane already. I didn't expect to see this from him at this time, I will admit, and yeah, a very, very early stop there from Dennington, maybe deciding I'm going to drop it or drop into the pits now. Little bit less fuel. Is he going to go with the hard tyres and get the hard tyre stint out of the way, or is he going to go to the last stint of the race? We're at the 20-minute mark, so this is pointing towards a two-stop strategy. But you never know, some of them might push it towards a a one-stopper, if they can get the extra 9 minutes out of the tank of fuel. And sure enough, Dennington has gone for the hard tyres now. He learnt his lesson from Yanguina a couple of weeks ago, and having to finish the stints off or finish the race off on the hard tyre. He said he found it hard, and Morris, you could see, was closing in very, very quickly. So Dennington now comes out in 8th place. He's got a 3.5 second lead over Omron. The other person to pit was Craig Thomas, and he is in 10th place. A bit of a distance behind Omron, but certainly closing from what it was before pit stops. We go back to the leader, and we see KBE coming into pit lane as well. And so this will give Littlejohn the chance to come across the start-finish line. No, he comes into pit lane as well. So it's going to be Baldwin who's going to take the extra point for leading the lap on this occasion. And he will take the lead of the race at the moment. How is he looking on fuel? He's probably got 1 lap left, so no one's going to stretch this to a one-stop race. But Baldwin is going to do everything he possibly can now to stretch out the lead. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say, because I've watched him recently on the ESR Monday Night League, and he he's gone for the softer compound for the first 2 stints, and then done the absolute bare minimum he has to on the hard tyres. KBE coming out of pit lane now on the hard tyres, we can see on the left hand side of the screen, as Little John decides to stick on a set of medium tyres as well. So that'll be interesting to see how he goes against Dennington. Can he pull out a gap before he has to chuck the hard tyres on for the final stint? Sure enough, Darren Baldwin now coming around just the final sections at Depato, and down to back down the hill, round the left-hander towards Junkow now. Little John has come out behind Dennington. We'll quickly pop and see. There's still not a lot of time between the two of them. And who's that in close contention behind? Sure enough, it's Rasmus Omren. Pitted early, got rid of a set of tyres he wasn't overly happy with, and has got himself back into the battle. Baldwin now coming back up the hill, and does he keep it sharp to the left-hand side? He does, into pit lane. So it could be Adam Dyke, who minutes ago was running in last place, and he's got himself now up into second place. Admittedly, probably going to hit pit lane. He's not going to be able to stretch that fuel much further, unfortunately, so he's not going to pick up the point for leading the race. So it'll be our net leader, KBE, taking over the lead of the race. He is now on those hard tyres with Dennington in second place, and look at the gap. It was over 8 seconds. Adam Dyke has gone for it. He's gone for the extra lap. He's going to try and squeeze out the extra lap of fuel, and he has got that extra point for leading a lap. Fantastic for him, and could mean a world of difference in the title race as well. So KBE in second place. Like I was saying, he had over an 8-second lead when they came into the pits. He has now lost about half of that lead. It's down to 4.7 seconds to Dennington in third place, and they both have the hard tyre on. Little John now back up the exhaust pipe of Dennington in fourth place currently, and he's on the medium tyres, don't forget. He will have the slightly stronger strategy, and it will be interesting to see if Dennington decides to release his friend but championship rival, so it could be a very controversial move to allow Little John that little bit better run on those medium tyres, and can he then chase down KBE in the battle for the lead. I would imagine we'll see Adam Dykes coming into pit lane this time round, as KBE is now right up the rear bumper of Dykes. They come down towards Junkow now. It'll be the climb back up the hill. 30 or just under 35 minutes to go, so Adam just a little bit too far out to make the the one-stop strategy work, possibly, unless he fuel saves for his life on the second stint. Sure enough, he keeps it left. KBE comes back in for a little extra swig of slipstream back across the line, takes the lead of the race yet again, and it will be Little John, who has got himself right alongside Dennington up towards the line and down into the braking area of the Senna S's, and sure enough, Little John does take that place on the softer compounder tyre. Let's not forget this. He still has to run that hard tyre later on in the race, and that'll be where Dennington pulls himself back into contention, possibly at least for second, maybe for first, who knows, time will tell, and it's only 34 minutes left till we find out. The chat going away nicely. We've obviously got O'Donnell having a cheer on for Darren Baldwin, who has dropped down to 5th after that slightly later pit stop, running on the medium tyres. Ahead of him is Omren, who pitted a lot earlier on the mediums, and is now going to have a look up the inside of Dennington. These two have history from Yanguina, but just about keeping it friendly this time round. Maybe a little bit of paint swapping and a friendly nudge, but Omren deciding better of the late lunge round the S's section of the Interlagos circuit. But this is obviously where Omren's going to have the slightly better traction out of Junkow back up the hill, and can he do anything about Dennington keeping up the slipstream right the way up the hill, up towards the start-finish line? Now, I said earlier about the back straight. It's probably the longest section of straight because we come out of this corner here, and this is where it becomes the start-finish straight. Omran's selling the dummies back towards the inside. Can he break that a little bit later? Get the inside line into the centre S's just about, and he takes third position away from Dennington. But again, he still has to run those hard tyres, where Dennington is running them currently. For this stint, Darren Baldwin will be next up to target the rear bumper of Dennington. And can he do anything about the gap to Omran? Because those two were very, very close before the strategy came into play. So we'll see if anything can be done. Omran's going to have to run the hard tyre, I would imagine, that little bit longer, or maybe even make an extra pit stop. But we'll see what happens in time. But certainly Baldwin now trying his best to close up onto the rear of Dennington and take fourth place away. But Dennington, he knows how to do this well. He's played the game. I say played the game. Of course, he's played the game, but he's played the long game in the Porsche series, and knows how to strategically work his way in. I did say earlier it's like a big game of chess, and he's setting himself up. He might be losing a few pieces on the chessboard at the moment, but he's setting himself up. He knows what he's doing. He's keeping the cards close to his chest, keeping the pieces on the board that he's going to need to win this race, possibly, as the gap is coming down further and further. Obviously, Little John is on the on the medium tyres compared to KBE on the mediums. So really, the gap you're looking at between Dennington and KBE, because that was about eight and a half, nearly 9 seconds when the pit stop started, and it's down to 5.3. We know the two of them. Excuse me. We know that the two of them are both on hard tyres. We know what the gap was, so it's come down by 3-4 seconds roughly, and it's making a big difference. And once they flick back onto the medium tyres, will Dennington then be able to catch up that little bit more towards KBE with a better strategical move in the pit lane? Who knows? Time will tell. We've only got 13 minutes and 30 seconds left, so we're already almost at half distance, and we're none the wiser as to who's going to win the race. Little John now down to 2.3 seconds to KBE in first place. Omran another 2 seconds behind Little John now, as Dennington and Baldwin both close up and close together on Omran. So maybe a small mistake from Omran in the twisty Pirorino section of the Interlagos circuit. It's a tricky circuit to set the car up. You want the low downforce for sectors 1 and 3 because they're mainly straight and they're very, very quick, but then you've got that second sector that's all tight and twisty and twiddly. Fantastic circuit to race at, and it always brings out great strategy and trying to get a decent balance of the car right the way through the entire lap. Great to see. Let's see what the gap is. Is now down to 2 seconds, maybe just under in a second, to KBE from Little John in second place. Third is still Omran, with Dennington in the slipstream, but on the harder tyres, let's not forget that. Fifth place is Darren Baldwin on the mediums and putting Dennington under a bit of pressure. Sixth place, and he has worked his way up, and he's on the hard tyres now as well, is Gareth Morris. So Morris is also playing himself into this race that little bit. Morris in sixth place. Seventh place is Chris Wheatley. Eighth is Moncani now, just about catching enough curb there on the exit of Interlagos. Ninth is Adam Dyke, and 10th place after switching off the hard tyres nice and early, but possibly putting himself onto a 3-stop strategy now, is Craig Thomas. That could well have played him out of contention for a top 5 finish this time round, unfortunately, but we live and learn, and I'm sure Craig will have some masterful fuel strategy up his sleeve to maybe get this to the end of the race on this set of tyres. Back to the front, and it's under 1.5 seconds now to the front, to the KBE in first place. Little John is certainly closing in very, very quickly, but those medium tyres will be wearing as well. It depends on how much life he takes out. I would hazard a guess he's got about 8 minutes that he's still looking at completing to to get to the hard tyres. And then after those 8 minutes, he'll push it as far as he possibly can before he has to pit, so he spends less time on those hard tyres. That would be the strategy call anyway, and it would certainly be what I would be shouting down the radio to him in the car. Just push it, but don't push it too hard. Remember, if the further we go on these medium tyres, the less time we've got on the slower, harder tyres. But we've seen how quickly Little John has closed up. It's now down to almost a second to KBE in the lead, as Dennington's got himself up. Omran has dropped back massively. Maybe running a little bit wide. Can we pick it up, or have we? No, we've already missed it, unfortunately. But Dennington and Baldwin got themselves up ahead of Omran. So Omran will be looking to regroup and get himself back ahead of Dennington and maybe Baldwin at the same time. But again, he pitted very early, didn't he? He pitted very, very early. So maybe the tyres now just giving up that little bit of life, and he'll have to move on to the hard tyres. Get back to the front, and it's down to 0.6 of a second. I was saying just now that Little John was playing it superbly, but eventually the tyre wear life between the two tyres will even themselves out. As I called Omran now into pit lane, running very low on fuel as well, so he'll hopefully be looking to make the 26-minute mark and get to the end of the race on the harder tyres this time round. Yes, like I was saying, the tyres. The medium tyres will give the better grip. For those who don't understand the difference between the compounds, the medium tyres will certainly give the better grip over the hard tyres in the early stages. Eventually, though, as the wear of the medium tyres comes down a lot quicker than the hard tyres, it will even out, and it'll take a few laps, and I would imagine probably in about a minute, 2 minutes, so about 1 or 2 laps time, you'll start to see them even out that little bit, obviously depending on when they pitted as well, because that will make a difference. If they pitted at the same time, I would imagine it would be 1-2 laps, but I could be wrong, and the strategies could play a different part as well. But you can see that Little John certainly has more grip coming out of Junkao, able to put the throttle down that little bit earlier. He ran that little bit wider, it's cost him time, had a little jump over the curb, but he's got the slipstream now up the start and finish straight, and that's the area that's going to help him. Not only is it going to pull him closer, like a tow rope, if you like, or an elastic band pulling him in closer, but it will allow him to save fuel as well, so it'll be less fuel that he takes on board at the next pit stop. And you might see, we saw it earlier on with Dennington. He decided not to overtake, just sit behind, save that little bit more fuel. He got an extra lap over Dennington when it came to the pit stops as well. So will Little John decide to go for the move, take advantage of the medium tyres over the hard tyres, or will he sit there, play the long game, play the less fuel on board at the next stop, but then he'll have the disadvantage of the tyre? Time will obviously tell as things go on with these two. In third place is Dennington, with Baldwin right up behind him. Baldwin on the mediums, Dennington on the hard, so we've got a mirror effect between the two battles here. First and second hard and medium tyres, third and fourth hard, then medium tyres. Fifth place now is Gareth Morris on those hard tyres. Let's not forget, about just under 13 seconds back from our leader KBE. Sixth place is Brian Moncani, doing a fantastic job as well, pretty much out on his own, so very hard to keep a set pace, but certainly keeping it nice and steady to Wheatley behind him in 7th place. 8th is Adam Dyker at the moment, who's got a 2.5 second lead over Thomas in 9th, and Omran, who has made his second stop, possibly the final stop, in 10th place. Back to the leaders, and it's down under 0.3 of a second now, and Little John now just wondering, do I make the move, do I hold back? Oh, we'll see, we will see. How's the fuel looking for the two drivers? KBE looking very, very good on fuel, as is Little John, so they might just be able to push that to the end of the race on fuel between the two of them, so it could just be the tiniest little splash of fuel, and then it'll all come down to who's happier on which tyre. So I could go out on a limb now and say KBE's looking in the driving seat. Behind it is Dennington and Baldwin, very, very close, very, very fair between the two. Good friends, these two as well. So Baldwin's not going to make any rash move and take Dennington out of the race. He knows he's on the quicker tyre. He knows Dennington's going to be that bit slower. So he's semi out of position maybe at this present time. But will Darren decide to just hold back and secure 4th place almost, barring a late charge from Morris, who's 8 seconds behind Baldwin. We will see what happens. I'm going to get Swee a coffee. Oh, that's nice. But yes, Baldwin is putting Dennington under more pressure. He flicks to the inside. Is it going to be pit lane? Is it going to be the position? He's hoping for the inside line towards the centre S's. Dennington cuts back. Baldwin is already in front even before the braking zone of the centre S's. Dennington comes back into the slipstream but thinks better of the move as Morris is now in pit lane. Absolutely no fuel at all left in the tank, so it'll be 21 minutes of fuel into the tank, onto the medium tyres for Morris, and pedal to the metal to the end of the race. Back to the leaders, and Little John has not been able to do anything about getting past KBE at the moment, or is he deciding not to? I did say about the tyres eventually balancing out, and I said it would be about a lap or two. Have I called it right? Have I just got lucky? Am I being completely wrong and Little John's just taking it steady? Only time will tell, only time will tell, and we will see what happens as the race goes on. I would actually say, if anything, KBE now is just starting to extend that lead just that little bit, so maybe the tyres are almost cooked for Little John. See if we can pick it up on the telemetry. You can see there hardly anywhere. There's a slight mistake there by KBE, very sideways out of Juncal, and that will give Little John a bit of a run up the hill. It didn't seem to slow KBE down too much, but it has certainly put Little John in the slipstream down the start-finish straight, and the tyres are wearing definitely very, very quickly for Little John, but he's now right up the rear bumper of Little John down towards the centre S's, and he decides against the move, maybe thinking those tyres might not hold up too well under braking into the centre S's. We see 4th place Lee Dennington now into the pits, getting off those hard tyres. 20 minutes left. I called it earlier. He would do 20 minutes. Back to the battle for the lead of the race, and KBE has still got that lead at the moment, but Little John is pushing. But like I say, look at the tyre wear. The hard tyres hardly worn on KBE, and holding up pretty well. And from experience, now those hard tyres will just be coming into their working range and just starting to grip up that little bit better. And then you compare that to Little John in 2nd place. A lot more wear on those medium tyres. Just starting to slide out that little bit, slide under braking, slide under acceleration. Be very, very careful here. Easy to lose the rear end. You saw a little wiggle there on acceleration out the corner from Little John as he tries to put more and more pressure on KBE down towards Juncal yet again. And will we see Little John coming towards pit lane now? A little bit loose again out of Juncal up the hill, and I said earlier he will try to push it as far as he possibly can, so it's less time on those hard tyres. KBE has done about 22 minutes now, I think. Just a little rub of the barrier, taking as much of the corner out as he possibly could, was Little John, as he comes into the pits now, and it will be the hard tyres, because he's only got 18 minutes left of the race. This will be his final stop. Baldwin now gets promoted up into 2nd place. 3rd currently in pit lane is Little John, but Moncani comes round and down the start finish straight he heads towards pit lane. So will it be Thomas up into 5th? Possibly not, because he's got 0.6 of a second penalty, with Dyke with half a second penalty behind him. And then it's Dennington, and it's Dennington that we are keeping a very, very close eye on, because he and Little John were very, very close in their battle for 2nd place, as it was at the beginning, and he essentially gets the position ahead of Dyke coming through the centre S's, and Little John is still in pit lane. at the moment. He comes back out onto track now. He has got roughly 3/4 of the back straight lead over Dennington. That is the difference between the two tyres. But now, if I can get the markers up, Littlejohn now on the hard tyres, full of fuel to the end of the race. It'll be fuel mixture 1, no doubt. But Dennington now on the medium tyres. So Dennington will have the better tyres for the time being. But it's KBE that we want to keep an eye on now as he comes to pit lane. He gets rid of the hard tyres with 17.5 minutes to go. Where will he come out at the end of the pit stop? Will it be a full tank of fuel? Will he short fill it and try and save? Who knows? But he will be on those quicker medium tyres for certain. As we have a look, it's Idle 4 Gaming, Darren Baldwin up into first place, grabbing that lap lead point as well. Down the back straight now, and I'm going to jump with Littlejohn, and we're going to keep a very, very close eye between Littlejohn and KBE, who's now just finished being served with fuel. And we might just see, if we keep looking to the right, we might just see Littlejohn and Dennington coming round, will we? I can see him on the graphics on the right. Littlejohn there. Let's jump on board, can we? And there is KBE. Those two are nose to tail. A wiggle from KBE out of the pit lane, trying to get heat into those tyres as quick as possible. And he has retained a net lead of the race by 2 seconds already. 2 seconds. Those two were nose to tail at the start of the pit cycle. And those hard tyres have cost Littlejohn already 2 seconds. Although he's already starting to close in a little bit as KBE gets used to the cooler tyres. Dennington 5.6 behind Littlejohn now in 4th place, and he'll be trying everything he possibly can over the next 16 minutes to close up and take over the net 2nd place, as it would be at the minute. Baldwin continues on for yet another lap down into the Senna S's. He's very, very happy at the moment. He would have already worked out what sort of time he's got to make on the hard tyres, and he will be doing the absolute bare minimum on. I am sure of it. Let's get ourselves nice and ready for the last few minutes. Like I say, 15.5 minutes to go. At the minute, it is Baldwin in 1st place, but he still has a pit stop to make to come onto those hard tyres. 2nd place is KBE, having finished his hard tyre stint, now back onto the mediums for the final section. Littlejohn in 2nd place, or in net 2nd place, 3rd place currently on the road. He's now on the hard tyres, and look, already 1.3 seconds lost in a lap to KBE. So those hard tyres are really killing him in this battle. And it almost looks set for KBE to take victory here once Baldwin comes into pit lane. Dennington in 4th place, already eating into the lead that Littlejohn had ahead of him. And he'll want to do something about that as well, because the championship is at stake as well as they come towards the end of the season. This is the penultimate round. We've only got Fuji left next week to see what happens, but down to 4.2 seconds now already between Littlejohn and Dennington. Idle 4 Gaming, Darren Baldwin in the pits now as well, and that'll be on to the hard tyres for the last 14 minutes of the race. 5th place is Adam Dyke at the moment, with Morris in 6th place, and Morris will be on the medium tyres now, having done his hard tyre stint earlier on. Omran in 7th place, and I believe he is on the hard tyres now. Yes, he is. So Omran now on his hard tyre stint to the end of the race. Moncani in 8th. I hope that wasn't him just rejoining the track. It would have been awful timing from us if that was the case. Wheatley there in 9th place. A fantastic job from Wheatley, given the late call up into the championship and last minute jump into the drive. And Thomas there in 10th place at the moment on the in the capped livery on medium tyres as well. So Baldwin has dropped himself down to 4th place at the moment. Yeah, he's back on track, Fourth place with Morris chasing him down, no doubt. Length of the back straight between the two of them. Can Morris do anything about it on the medium tyres? 11.2 seconds. He's going to have to get his foot down and catch over a second a lap if he's going to do anything about it. But we have seen it is possible to do it, because Dennington, he's down to 3.2 seconds now to Little John, who's struggling that little bit on those hard tyres. The gap now up to nearly 6 seconds to KBE. Remember, it was 2 seconds when he came out the pit lane. So I don't think there's going to be much battle for the lead of the race. It looks like KBE's race to win here at the moment, barring any mistakes. I'm going to chuck that in there because we've had it before. Yanguina, we had it. Spa, we had a few issues. We've had issues throughout the entire series, and it's been brilliant to see. But now 3 seconds is the gap to Little John for Dennington. Fourth place is Darren Baldwin, who has lost a second already within a lap to Morris, who is in 5th place. Morris, he's not really going to be fighting for the title anymore, unfortunately, after missing last week at Spa, but doing a fantastic job to make sure that he secures the 3rd place in the championship. He's got the extra position over his nearest rival in Omran in 6th place at the moment. He's 2.5 seconds behind at the current moment, and Moncani in 7th, Wheatley in 8th place now, Thomas in 9th, as Adam Dykes is now dropped down to 10th place. I do apologise, I could feel that one coming. So KBE now with a 7.3 second lead, and barring any mistake here, KBE is going to have this race wrapped up, signed, sealed and delivered, no doubt, and taking victory in his first race here as well. Fantastic from KBE tonight, and almost a masterclass in driving. This is where the battle is going to come, I think. We're going to have a battle for 2nd and 3rd. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that we're going to have a very close battle by the end of the race for 4th and 5th between Baldwin and Morris as well. But Little John now has just got a 2-second lead to Dennington, and Dennington is reeling him in at about a second a lap, which is what Morris needs to be doing to Baldwin as well, and not quite a second on that lap, unfortunately, about 0.4 of a second, half a second maybe, but he's still got 10.5 minutes to go, and time will tell, but certainly the battle for 2nd place is hotting up 0.2 of a second just down through the Senna S's alone, as Omran makes a late pit stop, getting off those hard tyres. I would imagine going back onto the mediums, the only person doing a 3-stop strategy tonight by the looks of things. That has cost him a place currently to Brian Moncani, and down to Chris Wheatley as well. But will the fuel saving actually save him that little bit and bring him back up into the top 8? Time will tell. But for the time being, we are not going to switch off from this battle as we go on board with Lee Dennington, and it's down to a 1.3 second gap now as we come towards Bico de Pato, and the last tricky corner, I'm going to say, in the infield section of the Interlagos circuit. They come down now towards the braking section, braking as late as you can, about 50 yards to Junkao, taking as much grass as you dare and as much curb on the exit as you possibly dare. That curb on the exit can really unsettle the car and spin you around very, very easily. Dennington doing a fantastic job, and now just about within slipstream range, 1.2 seconds behind Little John now. As you can see, Little John just not quite running right the way out to the line this time, just trying to break that slipstream that little bit, breaking down now into the Senna S's, and you can see Little John getting visibly closer through the Senna S's now. A little bit unsettled there from Little John on the second section of the Senna S, down the back straight as well now, in the slipstream fully, and it'll just start taking effect just towards the end of the straight, braking as late as possible. That little side road there is roughly your braking point. Dennington doing a fantastic job now, already closing up to about 0.9 of a second as they come towards Ferradura for the 33rd time. A little bit wide on entry, but keeping it nice and steady, not wearing the tyres too quickly here from Dennington, and a masterclass on how to keep the tyres living throughout the final section of the race with 8 minutes to go. And the target has been set and locked if he was a fighter jet on the rear bumper of Littlejohn. Let's have a look how the gap's doing between Baldwin and Morris, and it's down to 8.5 seconds, so it's not quite coming down quick enough. I said it was about a second a lap. It now has to be a second a minute. So it's less than a second a lap now, or it's more than a second a lap now, sorry. And it's becoming maybe just too much of a task for Morris to get himself up into 4th place. So Baldwin looking good at the moment for 4th place for tonight's race. KBE as well out to an 11.3 second lead. So again, barring any major issues, I would say KBE has got this race presented to him on a plate already. 2nd place is anyone's guess. Morris in 5th, I would say. Moncani looking very, very good in 6th place. 13 seconds behind Morris, unfortunately, in a 9.5 second gap to Wheatley behind him. Moncani, I don't know how he does it. He gets himself into a nice clear gap. Hard to catch anyone in front of him. Given the standard drivers in front of him, though, I'm not surprised. I would struggle to get anywhere near them myself. So Moncani, fantastic job there, and how he keeps his lap times up and consistent in this position, I do not know. So fair play to him. Wheatley there in 7th place in the hurriedly put together Porsche for tonight. Thomas up into 8th place. I said he'd struggle to get himself up towards the top sections of the field tonight, and he's done brilliantly to work his way back up. Just whether or not the fuel will last, yeah, the fuel's going to last for him for the last 6 minutes. He has got Adam Dyke in very close company behind him in 8th place, just 1.1 seconds behind, so might have a little bit of a battle there. And then Omram, that little bit further back, 10 seconds further back, having to make an extra pit stop. But given the fact that he's the only person tonight so far to have done a 3-stop strategy, he's done very well considering the extra stop. It will cost you about 30 odd seconds, so that could have played him back into the battles further down a lot better. We go back to the battle for 2nd and 3rd place, and Dennington now looking towards the inside of Littlejohn, down into the braking zone. The better tyres giving the better grip under traction, but there's a switchback job by Littlejohn. He's not giving this position up too easily to Dennington, and the friendliness and the happiness to just sit there and work away with each other earlier on in the race has completely gone out the window now. These two are battling for position, for 2nd place, and hey, barring any issues, for 1st place, if KBE has any major issues or spins or anything like that. But let's be honest, they're battling for 2nd place at the moment. A little bit loose there from Littlejohn out of the Depato corner, down towards Junkao now, and Dennington is going to pick up that slipstream. Should we jump on board as they come up over the hill towards the start-finish straight again? Littlejohn certainly in the slipstream this time. Is he going to dart towards the inside for the braking zone of the Senna S's? Lap 35 in the book, 4.5 minutes to go, so roughly 3-4 laps left, I would say, given the time frame. So Dennington can bide his time here. He doesn't have to rush the move. He's got 3 or 4 laps to get this move done. He'll be keeping an eye on the clock, looking, watching, waiting, and learning. Learning is the biggest thing here. He's going to just sit and see where he's better, see where he's stronger than Littlejohn in the braking areas, in the acceleration areas, and no doubt he'll be looking to pull a move as soon as he can, but not too early, because he doesn't want to take the time out of the tyres too quickly. Baldwin now extending the gap to Morris that little bit, up to 9 seconds, so Morris now settling in for 5th position by the looks of it. And Wheatley, what's happened to Wheatley? Wheatley's dropped down. Wheatley must have made a mistake somewhere. I did say mistakes are possible, you never ever know, and it's cost Wheatley 2 positions, because Thomas has got himself up into 7th, with Dyke just under a second behind in 8th place, and then 2 seconds further back is now Wheatley, and he's now got 6 seconds to Omron in 10th place. Back to the battle for 2nd place. You're looking at 15 seconds to KBE in front. Like I say, barring a major mistake, KBE's got this one sewn up. This is his race. Even losing a little bit of time up over the hill to these guys, and maybe just deciding we don't need to push any harder. We don't need to. Let's ease off that little bit. Let's not make a mistake. But that's when the mistake's going to happen. We've seen it so many times. Little John still in 2nd place with that half-second lead, but like I say, Dennington doesn't have to rush it. 2.5 minutes to go, a lap and a half left, maybe 2.5 laps, depending on how quickly they cross the line. But Dennington doesn't have to rush it. The tyres are wearing badly, so maybe that chance we saw a couple of laps ago was his only chance. But Dennington won't do anything stupid. We know how Dennington will think. He'll be thinking championship. Yes, he might lose a few points to Little John by coming in 3rd over 2nd, but he's got an 11-point lead at the moment. It's the last race of the season next week. Will he be thinking championship? Will he be thinking that slightly better trophy for the cabinet? And the slightly higher step on the podium, maybe make himself look a little bit taller as well. Having said that, I don't actually know how tall he is. Chances are he'll tower over me because I'm short ass and only 5'4". But we will see how much Dennington will push Little John on this lap. I'm not sure if we're going to get. I was hoping I might get a lap time up, but unfortunately. Actually, if I do that, best lap time 1:32, so this is going to be the final lap, I reckon, for these two. KBE's probably going to get an extra lap in, but these two, I would say, are looking at the final lap of the race. So it's now or never for Dennington as to whether or not he will grab 2nd place, or if he's thinking championship and just going to settle for 3rd. By the looks of the car, it's squirming around all over the place. A mistake there from Dennington, and it's dropped him back to almost a 2nd, and that is probably going to be it, barring a mistake from Little John. I would say it's going to be 3rd place now for Dennington, just pushing that little bit too hard down into Interlagos, and just costing himself that little bit of time, unfortunately, dirtying the tyres up. That'll take a little bit of time to clean up as well. It looks like Little John is going to be the first one to see the checkered flag after the time is spent, but it will be 2nd place for Little John as he comes down towards Junkow now for, I believe, the final time. Oh, a little bit loose. That could just cost him that run up the hill. Dennington sniffed it. He can smell the exhaust fumes. That is time. And the checkered flag is... Has it come out yet? That is the checkered flag there for Little John. Dennington there in 3rd place. I was trying to see the checkered flag. We just couldn't quite see it. Baldwin there in 4th place. Morris is going to come home in 5th place after a recovery drive yet again after poor qualifying from him, unfortunately. Moncani will come home in 6th place. And I'm sure he'll be very, very happy with that at the end of the day. We lost Thomas, because in 7th place is going to be Adam Dyke, coming across the line now in 7th. Thomas losing 2 places in those last two laps. Dyke now coming across the line, taking the checkered flag for 7th place. 8th place will be Wheatley. 9th place will be Omron. 10th place will be Thomas. And we'll now jump on board with KBE, who has driven beautifully tonight. No major mistakes. A couple of loose wheels, maybe just dropping onto the grass, just unsettling the car. But he will come across the line now to take victory here in his first race within the ESR Porsche 911 League, and he is happy as anything, crossing the line, taking victory. It will be classed as a whole lap ahead of the rest of the field. Brilliant drive from him, and great to see a new or first time driver taking victory, and a clean sweep by the looks of it. Pole position, fastest lap, and the race win. Brilliant from him, and a wonderful race to see from him. And let's have a look. I'll save the replay very, very quickly, and we'll have a look at the final results. So we had KBE winning the race. It will be classed as a lap, but it wasn't quite a lap in the end. But it certainly was one hell of a distance over Little John in second place. He'll close up that championship lead to Dennington going into the final round next week. Dennington in third place, Baldwin in fourth, Morris in fifth, Moncani sixth, Dyke in seventh, Wheatley in eighth, Omran in ninth. 10th place was Craig Thomas, and then unfortunately we did lose Lee Fitzy and William Lane in the process of the race. Great racing from everyone tonight, brilliant to see, and let's hope for some great action next week in the final round of the season. It's Fuji Speedway, I believe it is with the chicane as well, so it's the official Speedway track for the Porsches next week. So going to be a very, very interesting little race at the in the end. The championship, it's so close. I can't guarantee what the points are off the top of my head. But sure enough, if you do want to keep up to date, then do check out the Eldar Sim Racing website. That's Eldar Sim Racing, ELDAR simracing.co.uk. All the championship standings, the latest results, the stewards' reports, they can all be viewed on that website. So do check it out, and you'll see what the championship standings are. I would imagine about this sort of time tomorrow, the results will be posted and updated on there, but do check it out if you want to see just how close. If not, tune in next week, and I'll give you a rundown just before the race starts as to where everyone's standing. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed tonight's racing, check us out tomorrow night. We've got the GT Supercar series, and we've got the WTSC series as well, both running, and they have just about hit the midway section, just coming into the last half of the season in both of those leagues. They will be both broadcast live tomorrow night. Malcolm Argyle bringing the GT Supercars to you, and Andy Hopley bringing the WTSC. Otherwise, after that, we start a whole brand new week with the Eldar Sim Racing Endurance Series on Monday nights, and I believe it's 90 minutes around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit next week. And we've got the two Lees, the in the GR3 cars there as well. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the racing, and I hope we'll see you back next week for even more close, fascinating racing, and who knows who will take the championship crown away at the end of the season. For now, I've been Nick Sargent for ESR and the Porsche 911 RSR League. Till next week, see you later.